Welcome back to Go Study. In this video, I'm going to talk about financial aid and more specifically about bursaries. What is a bursary? Where can you find one? Do you qualify? How do you apply? So let's get straight into it. What is a bursary? A bursary is a form of financial aid. It's an amount of money. It's awarded to a person to study at school or university or college. Some people also call it a scholarship, but it's really a choice of words. In South Africa, we use the word bursary. In the US, they use the word scholarship. A scholarship is really more for an award, if you're talking about an award. So a scholarship for sport or a scholarship for academic achievement, which you don't have to pay back. Most bursaries, however, that we get in South Africa are what we call contract bursaries. In other words, there's a contract between you and the organization who are sponsoring you the bursary. So they give you the bursary and you have to obviously give them something back in return. So if, for example, you were given a bursary for 3 years to study, you would need to work back those 3 years to pay it back, so to speak. So keep in mind, a bursary is just one form of financial aid. There are other forms of financial aid too. Loans from banks. There are reductions in fees, such as incentives. You also get things like grant. A grant is really something that is like a gift, like a once-off gift to help you out. And then you get other forms which are not strictly speaking financial aid, but learnerships and apprenticeships. These are more like opportunities. More about that later in another video at another time. Back to bursaries. Where do you find a bursary? Well, you find a bursary on an organization offering that bursary's website. Bursaries and scholarships are published on the organization's website. These are bursary providers. They're usually large organizations, or the state is a big sponsor of bursaries, the state being government. And they provide national or provincial bursaries for different departments. You also get bursaries from our sector education training authorities, or SETAs. So these bursaries are all published, and sometimes they're advertised. So the best source to find a bursary is on the actual source page of the organization offering the bursary. But you don't want to be going through every organization you can think of to find one. That would take a lot of time. So another source of bursary information is bursary administration organizations. So, for example, a bursary administrator would be someone like studytrust.org.za. It's a bursary administrator for multiple organizations, and that makes life a bit simpler. Another source of where you can get bursary information are publishers. We, Go Study, publish a list of bursaries secondhand on our website. Our website, gostudy.net, we republish lists of bursaries with a link to the actual organization's website. We've got about 250 bursaries on gostudy.net. And then obviously another source of finding information about bursaries would be Google. So you do a Google search, but then you're going to get literally thousands and thousands of bursaries. It seems like there's so many bursaries out there. There must be one for me, but that's not the case. And a lot of the information you're going to pick up on those sites, you're going to get some real funnies, some scams, and you just have to be a little bit careful of where you're getting your information from, because it might not be the source, the organization giving you the information. It'll be a second-hand source, in which case you need to be a little bit careful. Very important about a bursary is that usually a bursary is a window of opportunity to apply for that bursary. In other words, there's an opening date and a closing date. So you have to apply before they close. Right, now for the difficult part. Do you qualify for a bursary? Two things you should know about qualifying for bursary. Most bursaries have a minimum set of requirements listed there. And on those minimum set of requirements, they'll state what the bursary is for, and they'll state very clearly what you need to do to get that bursary. Okay, so The other thing is bursaries are usually provided for specific fields. And the thing about bursaries is those specific fields are usually the high demand fields. High demand fields are scarce skills. They are careers where there's a shortage of qualified or experienced people. And because the organizations just can't get those type of skills or can't get enough of those skills, they provide a bursary to attract those skills. Now, we, for example, publish on a lot of bursaries, but the majority of those bursaries are for your STEM subjects, your science, engineering, finance, computer science, which usually require maths and physics. And that's the sad part. There are few bursaries for things like social sciences, which don't require maths and physics. Now, these types of bursaries that you find, and in fact the majority of bursaries that you find, are for the academically gifted. They are bursaries for those that are top achievers. So just be aware of that. There are very few bursaries for schools. There are more bursaries for university and college, and even more bursaries for postgraduate studies, because universities obviously and organizations want to attract those people with a high level of skill so that they're putting their money to best effect. So that's the reasoning. Bursaries for those who have a real financial aid problem need to seriously look at a NSFAS bursary, the National Student Financial Aid Scheme bursary. And to qualify, you must also meet certain minimum requirements for entrance to study. And you can only apply for these bursaries at our public universities or TVET colleges for approved programs, right? So they're not for private colleges, hey? They're just for your public. So if you're applying, your family combined household income must be less than a certain amount. At this stage, it's $350,000 per annum combined income to potentially qualify for funding. You also need to meet the university's minimum requirements. You need to apply before the closing date for the financial aid. You'll need to apply for funding on the NSFAS website. Go to nsfas.org.za and start by creating your account. So that's really it for bursaries. Keep in mind that your investment in education is one of the most important investments you'll ever make. I wish you all the best, and till next time, cheers for now.